Donald Trump were elected, or indeed any other of the Republican candidates, certainly the approach of American foreign policy to places like the Middle East would be seriously in question. We've already heard from Mr. Trump that he would bomb the Middle East. In fact, he actually said bomb, 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 which is far too much for most of us, I think, to be okay with. So it would certainly be a departure from the strategy of Barack Obama to engage and talk to allies and make new allies such as Iran and Cuba, and engage through diplomacy, which I think would be very serious for America's standing in the world.
The United States retains their status as one of the most influential countries and powerful countries in the world, having a president that openly talks about you know, deporting millions of people and talks about Mexican immigrants as being, you know, criminals, talks about Mexican foreign policy being trying to ruin the US. It talks about, you know, voicing Islamophobia in the public realm. I think that will shut the US foreign relations in such a way that, I mean, who knows what would happen. Mexico and other Latin American countries would stop having such good relations with the US, which would have a massive impact on trade and foreign policy. And I think that most countries around the world would rally against Trump-led US.
I think throughout history there have been several right-wing demagogues who tried to plead to the working class vote, but Donald Trump is of a line of Republicans with a foreign policy that would just further Israeli settlements in the West Bank and military intervention in the Middle East that I think would be disastrous to global politics.
I think I'm an idealist, and I don't think there's a reason to be afraid, because he's not unique in being a populist. The populist movements are occurring all across Europe, and I still believe that there are enough people who disagree with them, and the parliamentary debates in Britain are an example of it, in the sense that they were debating whether he should be even allowed to come to Britain because of his views, and I think many people recognize the implicit racism and discourse that he projects. What is disturbing is how easily people get swayed by what he says, which I think is more a question of education and the need for a better cultural understanding.
So I think Donald Trump, he's also the system part of the US election politics, which means he can talk more than he actually can deliver to the US public. In terms of the world order, which is definitely shaped by American Empire several decades ago, but the American Empire is declining in those years, so it's hard to say what the future order is gonna look like. I don't think there's gonna be like a very linear and precise prediction about the future world order, but definitely there will be the power shift, whether between US and China or like the US and Russia. So the question is like how they are gonna deal with those contingency events. For Donald Trump's personal character, he is a psychopath, so he might have more like extreme approaches to the future like world order, how he's gonna deal with Chinese, with Russians. So honestly, I don't have a finite answer for that. I would say it's hard to predict.
I'm not sure if it's enough to say that he would create huge tensions between world order. Of course, being the President of the United States, he would have a great global power, but I'm not sure it's to that extent that he would create enough to destroy global tensions around places like that.
I think it's easy to underestimate how much people can use, like the fear of people, and like how much people want to scapegoat people, and how that's enough to completely change like a regime. Like Nazi Germany is an extreme, but that's how it happens.
I would probably say it's difficult to say, because if you look at most of his extremist policies, you know, the banning of Muslims, so on and so forth, these are essentially domestic issues. So I think those kind of things will get blocked in Congress, and I also think they're a bit facades, because obviously he used to be a Democrat before, you know, he switches. But it'll be interesting to see, because there's a lot of people that think that right now there's a lot of instability in the world, particularly in the Middle East and so on and so forth. So, you know, is Donald Trump then the new Reagan?
I think it will lead to the fragmentation of the transatlantic bonds. You know, the EU will completely stop negotiating with the US whatsoever. I don't know. think it will be a complete disaster.
So I just saw the news and it said that Donald Trump won the Republican race, and that's like really absurd. Because I think if he actually becomes a president, yeah, I think America would be like in complete disaster. It'll become a joke, basically. I don't think it's a good thing, and I don't think Americans should vote for him.
And the world order?
The world order, they are going to be a joke. Who's going to take them seriously? So yeah, it's a disaster.